going on, guys?
Start with Adam.
Adam Sparks, Knox News. With Theo, he had a career high in tackles the other night, made a whole lot of plays. Is that something just physically him making those plays, or is there something, do you think, in his game study that puts him in the right position?
Hats off, obviously, to Theo. I didn't know he had a game high or any of that stuff, to be honest. That's awesome. Theo's really done a great job all at camp. He's been the same guy since we got here in the spring. His level of preparation is really the model for what we want the young players to look at. So it's no surprise that he played well. I think as he continues to grow and learn the system, and the sky's the limit. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you, just because of the way he goes about his business, day in and day out. He's just a wonderful kid, and he loves to play the game of football.
Rob in the back there.
Coach, just how did you grade your guys mentally? It seemed like, it appeared that you didn't have like any kind of bust where guys just got lost and you let somebody run free. How did you feel like they did?
Appearances can be deceitful, so you know how that goes. We try to grade them hard, obviously. I was pleased, obviously, just the way we played in terms of our effort. That was the very first thing we talk about. As cliche as it may sound, you see a lot of first games and, the adrenaline is so high. Guys don't play as hard as they need to play. They think they're playing hard and they're not. I thought our guys played extremely hard. I thought we did minimize, some mistakes, but trust me, we had some. We had some things, obviously, we want to create. To fix and make sure we execute at a higher level. But overall, I think we played a pretty clean game.
Go to Rick in the back and then Jimmy up front.
Hey, Coach, pretty much following up on that, but were you pleased with the consistency at all three levels of the defense throughout the game?
Yeah, again, it's hard to be pleased with, every aspect. I think it's still some plays that we obviously left on the field. And some things that we think we can do better, but I'll say it again, I was pleased with our effort, and just our competitive nature, and those are things we got to take, everywhere we go, whether we're playing in Neyland or we're on the road, we got to play with great effort, and a great attention to detail, and I thought those guys did that. So again, there's some things we got to do better, some things we wish we had done better, but obviously moving forward, we're trying to get those things addressed and make sure we do a better job with it, next game.
Coach, two things. One, would you assess the tackling, and then would you assess the play of the front four?
Yeah, I thought our front four played hard. Again, for us to go where we need to go, they got to play hard. That's the expectation, and I thought they lived up to it. I thought our tackling was solid. I still think we, left some plays on the field in terms of our tackling, but I think because we played hard and because the guys were pursuing, I thought it eliminated, some glaring missed tackles. So, we can always tackle better, and we will.
Ryan and Austin.
I've had multiple players say to us this defense reminds them a lot of what they ran last year, just less complicated. Is that kind of less complicated, not having to think so much while playing an important part of what y'all are trying to do?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question because I'm not quite sure what they did or how they did it last year. I know for us, we want to play extremely fast, and to be able to play fast, the guys can't do a lot of thinking. We want to be able to play offense on defense. And to me, the only way to be able to do that if the kids understand very clearly, what they're trying to get done. So we worked our tail off to try to put those guys in those type of positions. But, again, we still got to continue to do it, week in and week out.
I know Tennessee's not played Pitt since the early 80s, but, there's a lot of familiarity with Coach Heupel going up against Coach Narduzzi. You went up against him when you were at Penn State. Just, what impresses you about, their offense? And then, how similar will you be compared to what you all did at Penn State versus now?
Again, first off, Narduzzi and those guys, that whole Pitt program has done a great job, since those guys have been there. It starts with their quarterback. He's obviously an experienced guy. He's played a lot of ball. He's athletic. He seems to be able to make all the plays. He hasn't changed, since we obviously saw him at the other place. They got good skill around them. They got a big offensive line. They look like all the teams we've seen in the past. So our kids understand it's going to be a great challenge with those guys rolling in here, and we're going to put our best foot forward to have a chance to come out victorious. So we're working at it. As far as a game plan, we're obviously going to play to our strengths and utilize our guys to the best of our ability based on the scheme that we have in place.
Patrick.
Coach, you guys, I think, played 4 different linebackers the other night. Was that the plan going in, and how would you evaluate how those 4 guys played?
Yeah, I mean, we like to play as many guys as we possibly can, you know, based on the guys that have earned, you know, that opportunity. You know, I thought, again, you know, those guys were solid. You know, again, I think they'll be the first ones to tell you, you know, they left some plays out there on the field. You know, we're working very hard to make sure that when the opportunity presents itself again, we'll be able to capitalize on it. But ultimately, you know, I thought those guys did a good job, and, you know, we'll continue to, you know, play as many guys, you know, in terms of how much they earn it. They earn it, they play. If they don't, they won't. And those guys earned that opportunity last week, and, you know, they'll continue to work to try to get that same opportunity this week.
Vince and Wes up front.
2 things. What was your assessment of Juwan Mitchell's play specifically? And then your thoughts on how the corners did, Alante and Warren.
Yeah, Ju played hard. You know, I know he didn't have as much production, but at the end of the day, you know, he did his job. You know, I thought he commanded the defense, did a great job making sure the front was lined up properly. He didn't have any MAs that stick out in my head right this second. So overall, I thought he played a solid game. As far as, you know, the rest of the backers, like I said earlier, you know, I think those guys, you know, did a pretty good job. And, you know, I think, again, as they continue to grow, they'll get better. Alante, the corners, that's what you asked me. I thought they were solid. You know, I thought, you know, we grade them really hard. You know, obviously, you know, footwork, technique. You know, I think we got some things from a technique standpoint that, you know, we'll continue to work on. You know, those guys want to be better. They want to be good players. So, you know, we enjoy coaching those guys because they take coaching. So I thought for the most part, you know, they tried to be physical, you know, when they were impressed, you know, tried to read their keys when they were playing off coverage. So I wasn't displeased, but I also understand there's still some work to be done there as well.
When you looked at, you know, graded out the performances and everything, how did you think Elijah Simmons played, first off? And secondly, do y'all think he can be that disruptive as the level of competition goes up a little bit? It seems like he can really kind of crater the line sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, I hate to be, you know, a cliche monster up here, but, you know, we'll find out as we go. You know, we're working toward that point. You know, we like what he's doing, and, you know, as we like a lot of the front guys and how hard they're playing. You know, every week's a new week. You know, every week's a new opportunity. You know, so to predict where he'll be, you know, 3 weeks from now, you know, I can't do that. All I know is that he's working extremely hard and, you know, giving himself an opportunity to get better. You know, and as long as he's doing that, you know, I feel good with the direction, you know, the whole defense is going, to be quite honest with you, based on how hard those guys were playing up front, along with our front 7, and as we talked about the DBs earlier.
Jimmy and Vinny.
Coach, because the Tennessee offense goes at such a warp speed, do you make a more concerted effort to substitute on defense to keep your guys fresh?
Yeah, again, you would like to play as many guys as you possibly can. You know, we realize that, you know, they're going to score a ton of points over there, and, you know, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to play defense. So we look forward to that. You know, those guys want to play defense. And again, as I stated earlier, you know, the guys that earn the opportunity to get on the field, you know, we want to get them out there, you know, whether it's a linebacker, a D lineman, or a defensive back. You know, so we don't necessarily worry about how fast they're going. We realize, again, we're going to play a lot of reps because of how good they are. But at the end of the day, if those guys are earning the opportunity, we're going to find a way to get them in there regardless.
Just with Byron being out, how big of a void does that leave, and who needs to step up in his shoes? And did you see that against Bowling Green?
Yeah, I thought Tyler did a nice job. You know, Tyler's been, you know, pretty consistent throughout camp. You know, he's a smart kid, plays extremely hard. You know, I thought Roman came in and did some good things as well. You know, I'm not sure how much he played last year, but, you know, he was obviously limited during spring, so that was really the first time this fall we really got a chance to see him, and, you know, having an opportunity to get him in the game and see what he could do was good. You know, he can only get better, you know, and we know he will be. So those 2 guys did a great job for us, and, you know, I expect those guys to continue to do that.
Last 2 questions, Eric and Vince.
Looked like Jeremy Banks flashed a couple times out there, seeing grass, you know, hitting the hole hard. What did you see from Jeremy Banks going back and watching the film?
Yeah, Jeremy plays hard, man. I mean, he really does. He's a see ball, get ball type of guy. You know, he's starting to understand a little bit, you know, schematically, you know, in terms of what we're trying to get done. And as he continues to grow within the system, I think you'll start to see even more flashes, you know, because he's definitely athletic. You know, he definitely has the want to. but he's obviously, you know, a work in progress, and he knows that. But I was pleased with how hard he played.
You mentioned over here. You mentioned generally being familiar with Pitt. Can you talk about any specifics you see and challenges that Pitt might present to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they got good skill, you know, and they're deep at the skill position. You know, it's a lot of guys there. You know, those running backs, you know, they've been there a long time. Those guys have played a lot of football for them. And like I said, they're really big up front, you know. So we'll have our hands full. You know, we understand what the expectation is in terms of the physicality within those guys will try to play with. And obviously we need to match that and play with the same type of energy and the same type of edge. But I just think overall, you know, they're a veteran offensive group. You know, they've all played together for a long time. So, you know, we just have to play hard and, like I said, you know, really work hard to out-execute and make sure we're doing our job. But they're a good offense, a very experienced offense, to answer your question.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Thank